I, I honestly thought it was the end. I said to the people in my life at the time, I'd rather not live if this is how I'm going to feel every single day. But I think I damaged the inside of my gut. And obviously, that led to a whole lot of complications. I had brain fog, I had a high cholesterol, blood pressure through the roof, eczema all over my skin. Just imagine one day if you had an app on your phone and you could measure the nutrient density, and you could go from supermarket to supermarket and hover your phone over your carrots and get a true value.
Let food be thy medicine, and let medicine be thy food. This is a famous saying from ancient times. And basically, it means eat healthy and your body will be healthy. I've got someone to talk about this topic with us, Gary Jackson, the founder of Jackson's Real Food Market. Gary, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. A pleasure being on your show. An honor.
Thank you, Gary. So, Gary, how did you get into organic food? Maybe give us a quick overview.
So I grew up, unfortunately, as a student would, on tequila and hamburgers, and I ate a lot of fast food, ramen noodles, that were very preserved, and I was fine until I got to about 30. And I obviously didn't change. I didn't keep those habits as badly as a student, but I think I damaged the inside of my gut. And obviously, that led to a whole lot of complications. I had brain fog, I had a high cholesterol, blood pressure through the roof, eczema all over my skin. I probably had every single warning sign that my body was not happy, and I think I ignored it for about 2 to 3 years until it got so bad that I ended up looking for medical help, and I battled. People didn't really know. They gave me topical um, creams, they gave me antidepressants to help my brain fog, but nothing really worked. And so I had to do some research myself, and I had to do a lot of homework and slowly built up my knowledge base and realized that my eating lifestyle was totally opposed to what my body wanted. And that's where I came across um, clean food, pesticide free, grown in really good soil by a very passionate uh, farmer. It was from there to where we are now has just been a crazy journey. And I still don't know how I got here, but I do believe that it was a divine intervention, and possibly, and more probably, a calling for me to try and help the other people that could possibly have felt as lousy as I did, and to give them hope.
I really resonate with that story because my gut was also very sensitive, and it was through that sensitivity I first found out about eating right for your blood type. So I sort of cut out gluten and dairy, and I noticed, wow, I feel so much better. My gut was also the guide somehow to getting into a more holistic alternative lifestyle. So, Gary, maybe in a summary, what were the key things that you found about clean food? What does a normal diet do to the person? What have you found?
So the first thing I learned was that every one of us is different, and that doesn't make it easier. So every person has a unique biochemistry, and that biochemistry is changing over time as well. So you're kind of on a moving target, and so you've got to uh, consume and drink and eat what makes you feel amazing. And I honestly walked around for the first 25 years of my life being oblivious to that connection. I'd never thought about how I felt after I ate. Um, the diet I had pre my illness, I had gas like you will not believe, almost uncontrollable gas, a lot of bloating, um, and lots of either diarrhea or constipation.
Mm.
So, in my experience, getting the quality of my stool right was something I learned from an old shepherd in the middle of Lesotho. He told me that unless I get a consistently good stool that wasn't too runny, certainly wasn't too hard or too black, I would live till 100. And so I had to then experiment, and it was easy for me because I literally used to log on a sheet of paper behind the toilet door what I ate yesterday and what it resulted in terms of my stool movement the next day. And it was incredible. After doing that for 10 days, I felt significantly better, and I started eliminating what made me get a constipation or diarrhea, and ate more of what worked. So it was a really simple thing, and I had trawled the internet. I had trawled, all doctors, and I just couldn't get help. I don't think that the conventional medical fraternity spend any time studying the gut brain link and the gut health link, and get into that in any depth. And then the next one was nutrient density. That was the second thing that I had to understand, that all carrots aren't equal. And there's a massive difference between an organically or biodynamically grown carrot to one that's grown in terrible soil, or perhaps hydroponically, or in some laboratory or in some facility that can't provide the nutrients that carrot needs. So that was the second thing. The third one was to really go back to the beginning, and that was uh, God created soil, and we were supposed to look after it. And unfortunately, we went off the rails. We started spraying pesticides, we stopped composting, we used a plow, and then a mechanical plow, which literally rips up the roots, the networks between plants under the soil. And yeah, we didn't do ourselves any justice at all, or we didn't feed the soil. We just grew and grew and grew, and we didn't rest the soil. We did everything wrong in the book. And so by understanding soil, and that's another biome, very much like your colon or your stomach, that is a biome on its own. But understanding the biome of soil is so similar to the human body. What you put in will determine what nutrient density you get from the plant. And you could spend, let's say, 1,000 rand on a trolley of uh, dead food from dead soil, and you would probably pass 80% of it and maybe uptake 20% of it as nutrients. Whereas if I ate organic or biodynamic, I was uptaking 80% and passing 20%, which didn't sound like rocket science, but unless I researched, I would have never have known these things. So those were the three main things, Deepak, that I think got me excited, and gave me hope, because I was honestly hopeless at some stage for about 2 solid years. I honestly thought it was the end. I really did. I said to the people in my life at the time, I'd rather not live if this is how I'm going to feel every single day. It's not worth living. I was with chronic brain fog. My memory went. I forgot people's names. I would schedule meetings that I had already had the day before. It was absolutely a nightmare in my own head.
It's so fascinating. There's a lot of points that you made there, and I just wanted to reiterate the importance of them. The one that really resonated with me was the nutrient density of the food, right? And people don't really focus on that. The marketing propaganda machine around food mainly pushes people to think about calories, but that's not really that important. What you need is nutrient dense food, right? And like you said, a carrot is not the same as another carrot because one carrot grown in organic food is going to have so many more nutrients per calorie. Um, and that's really what our body works on, those micronutrients, the vitamins, the anti inflammatories, the antioxidants. And that's really what your money should be buying, right? So people shouldn't be comparing a carrot at the normal grocery store and a carrot at an organic store and look at the pricing. You should actually be looking at what is the nutrient density of these two different carrots, and work out the pricing there. I mean, if you were to actually work out the price per nutrient, I think your store would be uh, a fraction potentially, of the price of the alternates. And I think that's something people should understand. You shouldn't just be looking at a kilogram price comparison. We should be looking at what is the actual nutrients in this food and what is the price per nutrient, that you're paying. The other point, Gary, that I found really, really interesting is the soil that you mentioned, and you put a lot of emphasis into the soil, and how our guts are very similar to the soil. I mean, at the end of the day, our bodies are basically soil or dirt, because whatever we eat has come from the earth. Whether we're eating plants or we're eating animals, they've come from the earth initially. So the soil is really the source of
Yeah.
everything on the planet, if you think about it, and we're just dirt. So I'm not surprised that our microbiomes in our gut is so similar to the microbiome structure, because we are really soil at the end of the day. So Gary, I wanted to touch on the upcoming wellness hub a little bit. You've been very supportive of the event. What are you going to talk about at this coming upcoming event?
Whole topic around nutrient density is such a new topic that no one really that I know of is talking about it, and why it's important to consider nutrient density and linking that up with gut health. That's where we are. I think in that half an hour we do a jam-packed session, and I also take questions at the end. And a lot of people don't want to ask me questions in public. So they grabbed me afterwards and asked me some quite personal questions about, what happens in the toilet and, what they should possibly do next. So, yes, I'm excited as well.
That's a really interesting topic because um, nutrient density is, like I said, one of the topics that really fascinates me. And I wonder if we can make some sort of metric, or somehow convince people about a nutrient measure that they should eat per day. Because everyone knows, like, okay, the average man should maybe eat 3,000 calories a day, maybe a bit more if you work out, etc. The average woman has, I think, 2,500 calories, give or take. But we should shift that whole mindset to be people should eat this many nutrients, or I don't know, some sort of nutrient index. You should eat 1,000 nutrients units or something. That would be fascinating.
Yeah, I just want to add in on that a little bit. The nutrient density thing was, I don't know how it got into my head because I'm not the brightest guy. I battled through matric and I slogged through varsity and managed to get out the other side with just near passes. But I did get visions and dreams, and I had this vision that one day I would have, for example, 4 carrot farmers on my shelf, and each carrot farmer would have a nutrient density index. So you pay according to your budget, but also your nutrient density indicator, whether it's 10 or 1, something like that. And I'm working with Farming for the Future American group who have got a spectrometer, which is an instrument which they've quite far down the road that would actually measure nutrient density. And just imagine one day if you had an app on your phone and you could measure the nutrient density, and you could go from supermarket to supermarket and hover your phone over your carrots and get a true value, not in monetary terms, but in nutrient terms. And obviously, the more pesticides you have on your food, the lower your nutrient density would be. That's possibly my ultimate aim, to try and get that achieved in my lifetime, because then I think we are not greenwashing, no bullshit to customers. They can measure it themselves. And obviously, it helps in supply chain, because I would then be able to pay my suppliers based on nutrient density. And that would trigger farmers to get more farmers to get into organics and understand the soil, so that they could get a premium for their produce. And, at the moment, we're not passing that premium down to our real farmers that have re-emerged after many, many years. um, and I guess at this stage it's important to say that we aren't charging a premium for organics. We're pretty much on par with what you can get in another supermarket. We might be a little bit up, but not nearly like in the US or in the UK, where customers have to pay 30 to 40% premium for organic produce. So South African customers are actually lucky in that they're getting a product that is similarly priced to a normal supermarket, but the added benefit of knowing that the nutrient density is more than likely high, because we check farms and we have very close relationships with our organic farmers. And I think that's the future supply chain, and that's the way we need to grow this business.
Yeah, I think people need to realize that what you put into your body is really like a fuel that runs every cell, every tissue, everything in your body is run by that fuel. I mean, would you put like a substandard fuel into your car? I think people, you go to the pump, and I think most people even choose 95 when the petrol attendant says, "Do you want 93 or 95?" Because they just want to put the best fuel in their car. But now this vehicle that we call our body is so much more than a car, and it needs good fuel. Um, I mean, just become aware of it. I would love to see that change. And you also mentioned earlier you were taking a lot of medicines, the antidepressants when you were, still eating unhealthy. Are you still taking medication now?
I take some supplements. I do a little bit of vitamin D and omega 3s. And the reason I do that is they're not very available in food. It's very difficult to get clean wild salmon. And grass-fed beef is probably the only other place where you can get omega 3s. So I believe a good quality omega 3, must be taken. I do take a little bit of selenium because my thyroid was damaged while I was ill, and so I need to take a thyroid tablet. But then I also substitute with a lot of green leafy veg, which really helps maintain my current thyroid so that it doesn't carry on destroying itself. So, besides that, my biggest supplement is pure water, good water.
Yeah, good clean water. So, I mean, these are all natural, basically plants that you're taking in supplement form. It's very different from a chronic medication, maybe that somebody would be stuck on. So, this is the point I was trying to make. Like, if you eat healthier, you're going to have less medical, pharmaceutical type of requirements, right? Because you're going to get most of it from your food, and you use the supplements to sort of top up just the nutrient shortfall that you're getting. And I guess you've become very aware, understood your body, understood what the shortfalls are, and then just using the supplements to top up. I know a lot of people actually use the supplements as their main source of nutrients. They like take all these vitamins and this supplement, and they're like taking 10 different supplements and then eating junk, and thinking that's going to sort of balance it out. What are your thoughts on that approach?
Well, again, you can take the most expensive supplements on the market, but if your gut biome's a mess, unfortunately, you're just going to wee it out or poo it out. Um, it's probably true, and that's it's not because there's something wrong with the supplements. There's something wrong with your internal gut, which is the most important part of your body. Um, so I think that's key. I think a lot of people run into a Discam or a Clicks and start at vitamin A and work their way down to zinc, and just spend a fortune. The testimonials we've had in store is from customers, is that they have over time actually brought down their cost of medical aid, and quite a few have moved to hospital plan, which is a lot cheaper because they're finding they're not consulting a doctor very much, and so they're getting a lot back in terms of possibly saving up to 15 grand a month in medical aid. Not saying that you should all cancel your medical aids, because each family has its own dynamics and everyone has their own medical history, but for me, Deepak, the key thing that I got back from my real food journey was vitality and mental health. And the mental health issue is massive, and very few people talk about it. They live with it, and you really don't need to. And I'm not saying that food's your answer. Food's one of five answers. Spiritually, you must be connected. You need to have your time out. You need to have quiet time, prayer time, meditation time. You also need to drink good water. You need to make sure that you're breathing good air. You have no choice but to exercise. Even if it's a brisk walk or even a slow walk, getting out and moving your joints and your body helps your gut to work the way that it should. And then stress, that's a big one that's very tough to control, because it's quite environmental. I mean, you can up to a point, but again, if your immunity is great and your gut health is great, I find I can really manage my stress a lot more, and I don't collapse in a heap. And I think the other thing that I have benefited from is good sleep. I get good sleep if I eat well, and if soon as I go off the rails, and off the rails for me is eating gluten, eating sugar, or having alcohol. Those are the three things that knock me out. So if I go that route and run the 80-20 rule, where you 80% of the time clean and 20% you cheat, I don't feel great for at least 3 days. I just don't feel good. So it's not worth it in the end. And then you end up going 90-10, and then you probably get to 98-2,
Mm.
as your thing. So because you feel so good, what's in it for me? That's for me what it is. Besides that, you lose body fat because, as you said earlier, it's not about calories, it's about nutrients. And when you have the right nutrients, your body doesn't store it as fat. It uses it up, and it feeds your brain. So it's really something that people who aren't feeling great on an average day and don't know what to do about it, to research and look at podcasts like this. And there's so much on the internet that you can learn from. You could become a nutritionist without a certificate. In 6 months, you'll know a lot, and you'll know how to treat your body, because your body is a sacramental temple, really. You didn't pay for it. It's the one thing you didn't pay for. You got it for free. So, again, if you get it for free, don't take it for granted. Treat it with honor, respect, especially if you want to live to 100. And that doesn't happen so much anymore, but it could.
Yeah, I agree with you, Gary. It definitely could. And to close off, we've come to the end of our chat. It was absolutely interesting. I really hope the listeners have enjoyed it. I'm going to put details to Gary's shop downstairs. He has an online store, the physical store, obviously in Bryanston, Joburg, Kailami. Guys, check it out. It's got a brilliant restaurant as well. Very cool views. Very cool place to go and sit. And their selection of food is really next level. And it's something that you would definitely appreciate if you are trying to eat more healthy. So Gary, I just wanted to close off the last thing that you mentioned. I wanted to summarize for our viewers and listeners is the connection between our gut and our mind. And there's actually a very strong connection there, and that's why you were mentioning the brain fog and the mental clarity issues, because your head is up here and your gut is down here 4 feet away, and you're thinking, well, how are these things connected? But there is actually a very, very strong connection. They're like interlinked. There's neural pathways that directly connect the brain and the gut, and they talk to each other almost all the time. So your guts going struggling and microbiomes being awful is definitely going to affect your brain's ability to function, and that's what Gary was alluding to. But Gary, we really appreciate your time. I look forward to more talks in the future, and maybe we can delve deeper into other topics.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And there's so much to learn. And I'm learning on a daily basis. I make it my job to learn every single day. Thank you.
And we love to learn. So thank you, Gary. Bye for now.